Assalamualaikum everyone. So our group will be presenting on the second question, which is related to the chapter on formulation and verification of accounting theory. Our team member consists of me, myself, Shufa Ajrin bin Muhammad Syaib, Asad Hazim, Ahmad Haziq Badri, Farah Adiba, and also Misha Azwan Azwani. So I'll be presenting on the company's background, Ashad will be presenting on the nature of dispute, Haziq will be presenting on the agency theory, Farah Adiba will be presenting on the company's issue analysis, and Misha Azwa will be presenting on the how to solve the dispute. And then I'll conclude the presentation later on at the end. Starting with the question itself requires us to review business newspaper or magazine articles on Bursa Malaysia and the Securities Commission website. We must choose a piece of news about a Malaysian company that has a management shareholder dispute. We have to prepare a presentation describing the company, the nature of the dispute, and discuss the agency theory that explains and also solve the disputes. So this is the article that we have chosen regarding Menang Corporation Berhad. It is about Menang Corporation appointing new managing directors and executive directors after a dispute in the board committee. Azhar will talk in detail about the dispute, and if you would like to read the article, you may click on the link or scan the QR code. Now let's get to know a little bit about the company. So Menang Corporation Berhad was incorporated on 9th of July 1964. This holding company is listed on the main board of Bursa Malaysia Securities Berhad. The company principally engaged in several activities such as investment holding, letting out of properties, as well as the provision of management services. The headquarters of the company is located at Kuala Lumpur. And now I'll pass the presentation to the next presenter, Azhar Hazim.
Thank you, Shufa. Now we will discuss the nature of the dispute about this case. In this case, there is a breach of natural justice. There is a breach of the rules of natural justice by the agent. By the way, you will know what is agent and principle later with Haziq's explanation. Before we start about this case, I will first explain what natural justice is. Natural justice in simple terms means the minimum standards or principle which the administrative authorities should follow in deciding matters which have the civil consequences. Means we must follow the rules that won't make both sides lose. Natural justice implies fairness, reasonableness, equity and equality. Natural justice is a concept of common law, and it is the common law world counterpart of the American concept of procedural due process. Let me highlight what is natural justice that has been breached in this case. In this case, the agent has personal bias. Natural justice is against bias, and in this case, it has personal bias. Bias means an operative prejudice, whether conscientious or unconscious, in relation to a party or issue. Personal bias arises from a certain relationship equation between the deciding authority and the parties which incline him or her unfavorable or otherwise on the sides of one of the party before him or her. That means we cannot make a decision that just only benefit to one side only. Moving on to the next slide, I will explain the flow of the nature of the dispute that happens in this case. Toh and Liu are shareholders for Menang Corps, and Liu owns 12.5% of share and makes him the largest single shareholder, and Liu holds 5%. Liu emerged as a substantial shareholder of Menang Corp on 3 November after acquired 24.26 million of share. The chairman for Menang Corp is Raja Shahruddin, who is the one who leads the AGM. The dispute dated back to 11 November last year, when the company announced that Toh and Liu would be proposing for the appointment of each other as director of the company, which to be considered by the shareholders during the AGM on 30 December. However, the group's filing on December 30, 2020 showed the resolution to appoint them as director were withdrawn, and the removal of Sean were withdrawn by the chairman. And there is no explanation by the chairman action. On January 18, Toh and Liu, the two shareholders, brought this issue to the court and won this case. The group does not know why the two shareholders commenced the court action against them. As a result, there is a breach of the rules of natural justice here, as the chairman only did the decision based on his own interest, without care less about the shareholders' authority. That's all from me. I will pass the presenter to the Haziq.
Thank you, Azhar. Assalamualaikum. My name is Wan Ahmad Aziz Badri. Before we start on the analysis of the article case, we will look first on what's the meaning of agency theory. Basically, in agency theory, there will be a relationship which involves principal and also agent, which is to explain and also to solve any issues. So, what is the meaning of a principal? A principal is who authorizes other people to act in the place, in which in the agency theory is the agent. An agent will act on behalf of the person who authorized him, which in the agency theory is the principal. In other words, the principal will give the authority to the agents to make decision making. To simplify this statement is that a good agent will act with the best interest according to the principal needs, due to having legal obligation and to represent the principal. I will give a simple brief example that we usually can see is the relationship between the shareholder and the management. Shareholder is the owner of the company and he will delegate the power to the company management to operate the company. The shareholder wants the manager to run the company in a way that can be beneficial to shareholders, such as maximizing shareholder value. We have previously looked at the agency theory. The real question is whether there is an agency problem involved between the principal and agents. The answer is yes. This is because the agent may use the power given by him for personal use and not according to the interest of the principal. This can be referred to as the agency dilemma, in which there is assumption that the interest of a principal and agent is not usually in alignment. This usually results in uncertainty due to rises of information asymmetry. Since there can be agency problems involved, agency costs will occur. And agency cost is an internal company expense. There are three types of agency costs, which are monitoring costs, bonding costs, and also residual loss. Monitoring cost refers to the cost to review and supervise the agent to ensure that the agents comply with law and regulation, which are incurred by the principal. This is to check if the agent is doing what they are supposed to do based on the principal's interest. For bonding costs, it is incurred by the agents. This occurs when the agent wants to prove that their interests are based on the principal's interest, which is to build trust to the principal. They want to convince the principal that they act according to the principal authorized. Lastly, for residual loss, it is costs where there are differences of conflict of interest between what the principal wants and what the agents do. Principal can take necessary action against the agents. That's all from me. Now, I will pass to Farah Adiba to continue the presentation.
Hi, I am Farah Adiba and I will continue the presentation with case analysis. As we know, the agency relationship is between principal and agent. In this case, the principal is Toh and Liu, who are the shareholders of Menang Corp, while the agent is the chairman, Raja Shaharuddin Rashid. There are elements of information asymmetries in this case. Both agenda of appointing Toh and Liu as directors of the company and removal of director Dr. Christopher Shan Kong Leng in the AGM were declined without any explanation. The information asymmetry is detected when there is uncertainty. Therefore, Toh and Liu had sought court action against the company and the former chairman, Raja Shaharuddin. They claim the withdrawal of the ordinary resolutions by Raja Shaharuddin during the AGM was wrongful, illegal, and in breach of the chairman's duties and abuse of the chairman's power conferred by the law. Moreover, he had conducted the AGM in oppressive, prejudicial, and in disregard of the interests of Toh and Liu as the members of the company. This issue is related to the self-interest maximization based on agency theory assumption. It was noted in the 2020 annual report that Christopher Shan had been named Executive Director of Menang on 1st April of the same year after being appointed to the board on 25th February 1999. On July 1st, 2005, he was elevated to the position of Deputy Group Managing Director, while on 31st December 2007, he was reclassified as a non-executive director. So Shan is Raja Shahruddin's brother-in-law. As a result, the group lost a lawsuit in the industrial court as the court ruled in his favour and stated that Toh's dismissal was in breach of the rules of natural justice. It also ordered the company to pay 278,400 to Toh as compensation.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Misha Azwana Azwani, and now I will continue on how to solve the dispute as discussed by Farah Adiba just now. So as for the first solution is to check shareholders agreement and articles, as it is helpful in working out how the company is to be run and what powers and limitation on decision-making ability that each of the shareholder will have. It is also an agreed procedure for forcing a shareholder to sell their shares at set valuation in certain circumstances, such as a shareholder having their service contract terminated or leaving the company for any other reason. Other than that, the shareholder agreement or article should include a several provision that can assist with resolving any dispute, which can save a great deal of time, money, and also aggravation. These highlight the potential difficulties at an early stage and essential to review shareholder agreement and article to prevent the fundamental irregularities. According to the article, Menang indicate that Raja Shaharuddin Rashid had discovered fundamental irregularities in Resolution 7, 8 and 9. It claimed that Resolution 7 and 9 were introduced by non-members and so did not comply with the terms of the Companies Act 2016. It also shows us that the statement made by Toh and Liu, who are the shareholder under Resolution 7 and 8, did not comply with the Section 201 of the Companies Act. Moving on to the next solution, which is full transparency. Principal and agent need to be completely transparent with one another to reduce the potential influx of agency problems. The decision and transaction that will be implemented must be agreed by each other and reasonably fair. When a transparency is present, conflict can be reduced since there is less confusion in making decision and favorable implication that one party is against the other. Based on the article, the chairman of Menang Corporate Berhad, Raja Shaharuddin Rashid, has breached his duties as he withdrew the ordinary resolution 7, 8 and 9 during the annual general meeting of the company. Resolution 7 and 8 were regarding the appointment of Toh and Liu as director, while Resolution 7 referred to the removal of Raja Shaharuddin's brother-in-law, who is Dr. Christopher Shung Kong Len, as director. The withdrawal of the three resolutions are made without the knowledge and consent from the shareholders, so it is to be concluded that there is no full transparency between the principals and the agent. The last solution is removal of director. Shareholders representing at least 5% of the company's voting right can require the board to call a general meeting of the shareholders to consider a resolution to dismiss a director. The resolution must be passed at the meeting by more than 50% of the vote cast. This removal power is set out in the Companies Act, though the director has the right to appeal. The Companies Act also contains strict procedural requirements, including time limit. There are two main procedural points, which are the members who propose the dismissal must give the company the special notice about the resolution to remove a director at least 28 days prior to the meeting at which the director may be removed. The director in question also must given a copy of notice, and he or she will be permitted to attend the meeting and make representation. The second main point is the minutes of the meeting must be kept at the company's register office addressed along with a copy of resolution. Based on the article, on 19 January 2021, two shareholders of Menang Corporation, Datuk Lee Chin Hua and Nicholas Pu Chi Chang, had sought to remove the director. Based on the article, on 19 January 2021, two shareholders of Menang Corporation, Datuk Lee Chin Hua and Nicholas Pu Chi Chang, had sought to remove the chairman, the director, and the two independent non-executive directors. After 2 weeks, the group has announced on Bursa about the resignation of them.
As for the conclusion, based on the news, even if there is a relationship between the principal, which are Toh and Liu, who are the shareholders of Menang Corporation, while the agent is the chairman, Raja Shaharuddin Rashid, there will still be a dispute due to different interests and also opinions. The nature of dispute in this case is natural justice because of the personal bias done by the agent. At the end of the case, the shareholder win the case and receive the compensation from the company due to the breach of contract. That's all from us. Thank you.